Hi, friends. Welcome back. So, as you know, Donald Trump has allied and partnered himself with Elon Musk and RFK Jr. It was recently announced that RFK Jr. has been the pick for Trump to be the Health and Human Service cabinet spot. And essentially, there's a lot of coverage on him lately. Recently, though, there's some interesting headlines which I think illustrate how some people in the media, mainly Fox News, Elon Musk, etc., like to gaslight you and confuse you. And I want to go over this stuff because I think it's very important to understand, especially as investors or just as citizens of the United States. Take a look at this. So this says here, New York Times fact check of RFK Jr.'s claims about popular breakfast cereal stuns social media, right? So they essentially what Fox is doing is they're promoting a particular post on X, which is Elon Musk's platform. And the story is, oh my God, social media is stunned, meaning that, hey, the things that Elon Musk wants to promote, the algorithm, oh my God, look at this thing trending. And then this is the quote here, spitting out my coffee after reading the New York Times fact check of RFK Jr. Now, I actually want to show you the headline of the article here and sort of why they're attacking it. Basically, this is the headline. Kennedy's vow to take on big food could alienate his new GOP allies. So the actual story is really about there's a rift, right, that could be forming between RFK and Donald Trump, which is actually true because essentially RFK is, yes, he is attacking the system. And much of the system, be it the GOP, say big food companies or farmers, these kind of things tend to be more Republican donors. And any sort of, riff in the system, or I should say riff in the party, is damaging to them, right? So the Republican side, they're going to want to attack any kind of story that is against them, right? Does it make sense? And so what they did is they picked out this small part of the article and said, oh my God, this is so awful. I'm spitting out my coffee. Basically, it's about, what are the ingredients of Fruit Loop cereal in Canada versus USA. There are some slight differences, which the New York Times even, listed out what they are. And then all these people start freaking out that the New York Times is awful. Bill Ackman's like, oh my God, Robert Kennedy is right. The New York Times is an embarrassment. And, Meet Kevin's like, oh my God, what's he saying? I didn't want to believe it, Brad, but then I write, oh my God, the New York Times failed here, right? And again, they're not actually addressing the key point of the article, which is Kennedy, what sort of his plans may or may not be, is against what Republicans are promoting, right? So that's actually the story, but they're trying to confuse you and focus on something else. Now, I want to show you something else. This was actually a headline also coming from Fox News, and they essentially write, Trump Inner Circle shares McDonald's meal as Donald Jr. jokes, make America healthy again starts tomorrow. And it's kind of a weird headline, right? Because essentially what this is like, is this a joke or not? I'm not sure, right? I don't know. They're eating McDonald's. I can see Trump. I can see Musk. I can see RFK Jr. right there. I can see.
I get it. My guys who I stayed in touch with, many of them just dear friends. They're like, hey, dude, there's no way you would have gotten away with that. I go, I know. Luckily, I don't snort cocaine. Like, it's not my thing.
Donald Trump Jr. there, right? And says, make America healthy starts tomorrow. So are they joking or not? So for me, the reason why I question this stuff is because this is actually sort of the cover up an earlier headline by the New York Times. And again, this is Fox News and Musk and them all attacking essentially New York Times. And also to understand that New York Times is the competitor to Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk wants to say, hey guys, ignore everyone else in the media and just give me $8 and I'll tell you the truth. Look at this headline just coming out a few days ago. RFK Jr. scorns Trump fast food habit, really like bad and poison. So have a listen to this, what RFK had to say about Trump.
Congressional races around the country, which are actually more exhausting than the rallies because you're talking into a piece of plastic and you have to yell, kind of exhaust your voice. And then he was doing interviews all day, and the stuff that he eats is really like bad. It's not, campaign food is always bad, but the food that it goes onto that airplane is like just poison. It's all, you have a choice between, you don't have the choice. You're either given KFC or Big Macs. That's like when you're lucky. And then the rest of the stuff is I consider kind of inedible, but I was eating it.
So basically, you heard it for yourself. RFK, in his own words, is saying, man, Trump is eating poison stuff, and basically he eats a bunch of fast food. But we've known this for a long time about Trump. He's a big fast food eater. This is actually kind of funny. Well,
and I think we're going to let you see them. But I'll bet you as much food as we have. We have pizzas, we have 300 hamburgers, many French fries, all of our favorite foods. I want to see what's here when we leave.
But this is back in 2016. Trump is like trying to appeal to Hispanic voters. He says, Happy Cinco de Mayo. The best Taco Bells are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics. And you can see him eating a taco bowl. And some people respond to Donald Trump. That's not going to make Hispanics vote for you. Another person wrote, This MF hates Mexicans so much he built a wall around his taco. And another person wrote here, Taco Bell, are you insane? There's no such thing as a taco bowl in Mexico. It looks gross. You do not have the Hispanic vote. And another person wrote, Holy F, someone please strap him to a rocket and aim it at the sun. Now, guys, I'm trying to show you all of this stuff together because you have to put it in context. Trump likes fast food, okay? He appoints RFK as a health and human services cabinet position, or at least can nominate, that's a better word to say it. And RFK has said a lot of odd things going out through his career. Some true, some not true, right? Some conspiratorial, some not. And this is sort of why it's hard to read these kind of things, because especially as investors, say you want to get into food stocks or things related to healthcare, it is hard to know what the administration is going forward. And then this is sort of why it becomes important to understand that when New York Times is put an article that, hey, some of the things that Kennedy wants to do may attack the Trump donors. That's basically what we're talking about. We're talking about money here. And it becomes all very sensitive topics. And then essentially from Fox News, Elon Musk and them, they just want to say, just ignore the New York Times. Don't listen to anything they say. They're all just a bunch of liars and big fails, right? Just listen to me and pay me my $8 on X. Now, I just wanted to understand, help you understand this whole context of this stuff and sort of why it is a very touchy subject. So first, it has a lot to do with money, okay? So I'm sure you guys know this. We all need food. It's just, natural how it is. I wake up, I eat food for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I spend a lot of money on said thing. In fact, some of our greatest, or you could argue the greatest investor in history, invests in food. So for example, Berkshire Hathaway, right? That's Warren Buffett. Just a couple days ago, read the headline here. Berkshire Hathaway takes stake in Domino's Pizza, what other stocks it bought and sold. That's actually pretty big news because he hasn't been buying stuff that much. And also, too, if you don't know, Berkshire Hathaway, they have a large holding of Coca-Cola. They also, I think they completely bought See's Candy, these kind of things. Like they're into this stuff. And essentially what they're betting on is that Americans will always eat basically junk food. There's no other way to put it. And essentially think about this as like, okay, how does this fit in? If RFK Jr. essentially wants to attack the fast food system and sugar and these kind of things, then companies could potentially lose money. And those companies who, make money on sugar, fast food, this kind of stuff, could be Republican donors. That's sort of why we put this stuff out there. Now, I'm not against you making money. I'm not against it. I just want to lay this stuff out here why it's sort of a tricky situation to talk about because there's so many people that have money tied in this stuff. So my personal opinion on these things is like, I actually do believe in a healthy diet, healthy food, having a healthy lifestyle. I actually talk about that quite a bit on my channel. And so I'm actually side with RFK on many of the things that he talks about. It doesn't mean I agree with everything that he says. And this is essentially becomes why the world is so complicated, because the way people want you to paint things is like you either love someone or you hate someone. There's no in between. And I was thinking about how someone wrote in the comments just yesterday was saying, it's like that song, was it Joker's on the left, Joker's on the right, stuck in the middle with you? Like, why can't we just have reasonable conversations with this stuff? Because the way our system is built, right? Essentially what Elon Musk wants is that, no, there's only one truth. Give me the $8 a month and listen to that truth on X, and I control the algorithm. So I hope you guys are following what's going on. Now, I want to go back into this stuff too as well, is like, okay, so if we were to say go with RFK and we're going to get rid of our fast food system, and we're going to make sure that there are no processed foods and control what the food supply is, etc. The question I would pose to you was a couple questions. So one is, would Americans be willing to eat more expensive food? That is a very, obviously a loaded question because I'm implying that to get healthy food, it would be more expensive. That's sort of what I'm implying. Why would it be more expensive? So one would be, what if your food has to be locally sourced and not part of some big national food chain? So from an investor point of view, right, you actually want that monopoly. You want one company controlling all of our food, and essentially, let's say for example, all of our potatoes come from Idaho, just for example, and one company, say McDonald's, has a factory in Idaho. And even if you could get, say, fresher potatoes from a different state closer to your home, that would be probably healthier and fresher. Well, but McDonald's makes more money if they just have distribution from one particular place, right? So you still would want to promote that system where you have all of these additives to essentially keep the food preserved. Does this make sense? And if you attack that system by saying, hey, let's support local farmers, just for example, and attack the big companies for having a monopoly, it changes everything and investors make less money. So it's about the bottom line. And if those investors make less money, then they have less money to give to whatever political candidate they support, and essentially attacking the whole system. So guys, like I said, it's really complicated. Here's the other issue. Let's say, for example, and I leave this picture up there with Trumps and the Musks and the RFKs regarding the fast food, these kind of things. Would you want to pay more money for food if you had to pay workers more? So I'll give you a couple examples. So one is, which would be more on the Democrat side, would be, hey, we don't pay workers enough. We need to raise the minimum wage, right? And that would probably most likely affect the prices of basically every restaurant in the USA. Now, already people are complaining about the cost of food in USA. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. It's expensive, right? And so less people are actually going out. People complain about tips, which I completely understand. I don't really want to tip before I get my meal. I don't want to tip if I'm doing a pickup on the food. Guys, I really know. But basically what's going on there is that businesses are passing the labor costs on to you, right? And essentially, higher labor costs ease at companies' margins. Higher labor costs would also eat at margins in your stocks, right? All of these things are connected. And essentially, you have to make a decision of which do you value more, watching your stocks go up, say like with Warren Buffett and Domino's, or for example, would Warren Buffett, just for example, or yourself, be all for paying workers more and eating the margins? Here's another example. And like I said, this stuff gets complicated. Let's say, Donald Trump and Musk, they have their way and they kick out all of the illegal immigrants. What would that do to food prices? Chances are food prices would go up. So take a look at some of our chicken production, be it Tyson, be it Purdue. They actually had investigations regarding child labor laws. It turns out that they were using a third party sort of contractor. That third party would then hire illegal immigrants. Some of these were children, and I mean children, and children essentially aren't supposed to be working, let alone doing dangerous jobs. There's certain jobs that like they only want people above 18 doing. And essentially these people are out of compliance, be it Tyson Foods or Purdue, et cetera. And so if you kick out all those people out, and guys, I'm just saying, one way or the other, this is just what it would happen. Chances are your costs would go up, or maybe you might not even have any people to do that job because maybe Americans don't want to do it, which is a separate issue. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that whenever we talk about any of these issues, I just try my best to give you guys a full picture of everything that's happening and understand that we're talking about a deeply complicated system. And yes, there's a lot of money involved. The other problem I have with sort of the way that these people talk and portray things is that, yes, we have to, from their point of view, yes, we have to destroy everything. All these people want to control you, et cetera. But vote for us, right? Musk being born to a rich family, Trump being born to a rich family, and Kennedy being born to a rich family. And then these people act like they're victims. And guys, I'm not making stuff up. The Trumps, the Kennedys, the Musks, they're not poor people. These guys are wealthy people, but they act like and convince their followers that they're just like you, which is untrue. And I just try my best to illustrate the truth of this kind of stuff. So I hope you understand that the point of this message is that basically just be careful of the stuff that you hear out there. If you don't know, read the whole thing for yourself and understand, okay, this is the full message of said things. I think in any, situation, you could pick out, one paragraph of one particular article and say, oh, this particular thing is wrong, therefore it's all wrong. That's what people like to do. But it's very different when you read the whole thing and put it all in context. It changes the meaning entirely. And to be fair, that's what the Trumpists try to do. They try to say, oh, when the mainstream media, attacks Trump, they're just taking out small segments, stuff like that. That's why on this channel, I try my best to go over everything and say, well, that is not exactly the case. We look at everything together and I try to give you the best full picture possible. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this stuff. Please be careful out there. And also too, please be careful of people who are like saying we're going to make America healthy again and yet eating a bunch of McDonald's. I don't know how that makes any sense at all. The reason why it doesn't, because it doesn't. That's why it doesn't make sense. But that's the world that we live in. It doesn't make sense, but they're purposely trying to confuse you in order to basically get you to pay the $8 to Elon Musk so you can make more money. So there's that. So anyway, I do appreciate watching, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next video.